This is Valerie.
And this is Jacinta.
And you're listening to Catholics, a Catholic podcast by millennials for millennials.
Thanks for tuning in. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. It's Jacinta and Valerie for another week. We're glad that you are here and that you're tuning in. We're excited to be recording again and just excited about this whole new initiative that neither of us has seen coming, but that we feel like the Lord has anointed. So this week we're going to be talking about the verses of Martha and Mary, the gospel story of Martha and Mary, because we heard that at Mass this past Sunday, and we both were moved by this gospel and think that there is a lot to tease out from this. So we're going to be talking about this week. Do you feel more like a Mary or a Martha?
You tell me, Jacinta. I'm a Martha, no question.
Yeah, you're like how much percent choleric?
What was it, like 93% or something? Like,
yeah. Not to make fun of the temperaments. I have a little bit of choleric too.
I have like all. I don't know what that means, but I have it all.
That means that you're a go-getter and you're driven.
Well, that's good. I like those things.
Yeah, those are good qualities. I am 87% sanguine, which means that
that's what I have like the other 7% of.
So we're like opposite, because I'm like 87% sanguine and 13% choleric.
Yeah, I'm the opposite of that.
Right.
Exact opposite.
Yeah.
Weird.
I know. So I'm definitely resting at the feet of the Lord, just like Mary. And hey, she's my confirmation saint. So there you go. It's very fitting. But let's just dive into this gospel so that we can think about what we can get from it. So Luke chapter 10, verse 38. Now as they went on their way, he entered a village, and a woman named Martha received him into her house. And she said, a sister called Mary, who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to his teaching. But Martha was distracted with much serving. And she went to him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Tell her then to help me. But the Lord answered, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. One thing is needful. Mary has chosen the good portion, which shall not be taken away from her. So good. I love that gospel. I think that we can get so much good stuff from that and find out where we fall in that. But what do you think about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't really thought much about this gospel, really. And a couple years ago, a friend of mine had this book out that she was reading for book club. Mm-hmm. And it was called Having a Mary Heart in a Martha World. And that book is by Joanna. So I hadn't really thought of that much until she brought that up. And I kind of asked her, like, well, what is this about? And she kind of was telling me the topics about, Martha being busy and Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Mm-hmm. So ever since then, I did pick that book up. And in total honesty, I didn't finish it. And now I kind of want to go back to it because I do remember loving it. I just never got around to finishing it. But I remember there was just so many rich themes in that book. And there was just so many things that I could apply directly to my life. Being a Martha, because as you said, I'm a busybody. I'm a go person. Yeah.
Always wanting to be productive.
Right. I always want to be productive. Always want to be productive. So, I feel guilty if I'm not being productive.
I wish I had that.
Right? So, I don't know. I feel like even sometimes in prayer, I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I feel like I'm not being productive. And that's horrible.
I didn't do anything in this.
I didn't do anything, right? And that's... So I definitely would have been Martha being like, I need to serve everyone. And I definitely would have also been her when she's like, Jesus, tell her to help me.
You'd be like, Jesus, tell Jacinta to do something. She's just chilling at your feet.
Yeah, I totally would. Right? Because it's like, to me, when I read that too, it reminds me of like, as a kid, when you would like tattletale on your sibling, right? And you'd be like, Dad or Mom, tell so-and-so, like,
to help me.
Yeah, to help me do this. Like, they're not helping me wash the dishes. Can you tell them to help, right? And you're like trying to get them to help you. And like, I totally would have been that tattletale and been like, Jesus, tell Mary to help me, you know, like, and been busy so much. So
I can see that.
It's always hard when I feel like I just need to sit and pray. Mm-hmm. Because I want to be doing something all the time, like physically productive, not just mentally productive. So that's hard for me.
No, I get that. On the other side, though, I feel like I'm definitely a Mary.
Yes.
But I still fall into the same trap that you do. But, like, I feel like I'm Mary because I do take time out of my day to make a daily holy hour. Praise God. That's not because I'm amazing. I am amazing, but that's not, that's not why.
She is amazing.
But I do that because everything from my life flows from that one holy hour. 'Cause like you, I'm always doing.
Yes.
However, the difference is my doing is not necessarily productivity oriented, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, my doing is like hanging out with friends or going to this social or that social. So that's where we differ.
Or I'm cleaning my house. I'm like writing podcasts. I'm like, I need to be doing stuff all the time. Like, I found myself just sitting, hanging out with friends and being like, I'm not doing anything. This isn't productive.
Really?
When it is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll sit with friends and be like, this isn't productive.
So you thought our murder mystery party wasn't productive?
No, that was super fun.
That was fun.
But, no, if I'm just, like, sitting watching a movie, but I'm also, like, you're fostering those friendships. So, like, it's just a different mindset, right? I get so caught up in, like, I have to be physically doing something that you would write on to-do list and check it off.
Right.
Because I'm a to-do list and check it off.
That's that choleric
temperament.
Yeah, for sure. I might have, like, to-do lists, but they're in, like, 50 different places.
I do have a lot of to-do lists. But you take time out of your day to have a holy hour. So, like, y'all, you need to listen to Jacinta because she, like, she has so much wisdom, seriously. Like,
oh, praise God.
I was in Adoration last week when Jacinta and I had first started talking about this holy hour. Sorry, about this podcast, not about this holy hour. We had started talking about this idea of having a podcast on the gospel from last weekend, and we were like, well, we're behind the liturgical calendar, but that's okay, we're just a week behind.
Still a good topic.
Still a good topic. So we wanted to talk about it, and my roommate and I were like, we should go to Adoration, and I was like, yeah, I'll go. And I was like, but I'm gonna take my computer and my phone and I'm gonna work on this podcast.
Oh my gosh, Valerie.
But I was like, it's with Jesus. Like, I sat at the Lord's feet in front of Jesus, and I was typing in the notes on my phone of what, like, some things I wanted to discuss in this podcast were. And even then I felt so guilty because I could hear, like, literally hear God just being like, just sit here with me for a second. And I just couldn't. I was like, but I'm doing this for you, God. Like, and that's not a bad thing, but I just get so caught up in, like, I want to be productive and I have to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And I was a busybody in the chapel. Like, and I'm not always, but, like, you just get so caught up in things that you don't go, hold up a second.
I love the honesty, though. You know?
You have to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
Not hiding anything.
And I can get caught up in that, too, but in a different way with, like, prayer intentions. Like, I need this. Check. Please give me this, Lord.
Oh, yeah.
But lately I've just been carving out time just to be silent with him. Like, I'll always do my daily rosary, and that takes me, like, 30 minutes. Because, I don't know, I've always been a slow prayer.
That's a good thing. It's a good problem to have.
It's so funny whenever I'm leading the rosary because I'm, like, the slowest one. Anyways, like, if I'm with a group of people, it's like, Hail Mary, full, like, it's so slow.
And we're like, this is gonna take 6 days to finish.
Yeah, I blame it on the fact that I'm from Oklahoma and we just move slow. But anyway, I just have learned to sit before the Lord and to just,
like,
receive.
Mary did.
Yeah, and to just be still and be quiet. Because, like, I do have, we both have busy lives. Yeah. But, like, with my job and, like, even before I moved out to St. Louis, my life was busy just in a different way. I had, like, 2 part-time jobs and I was in grad school.
Oh, wow,
it was kind of nuts.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like I've always been just a busy person. And so I feel like this holy hour is a time to carve out, like, an hour of life to ground me.
Yes.
So that I am just making a space to be still when everything else is in my life is currently, like, in motion. And so this is a time to be still and to just be with the Lord and to recharge my battery. And I really believe that that's how I'm able to do so much because of that holy hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree totally.
Yeah. And whenever I let that go, that's whenever I get like, that's whenever I become irritable and just like cranky.
Sure.
And I'm just like mad about my ministry or whatever it is that I'm doing. And I'm like making excuses. But whenever I do that holy hour, I find that I'm more grounded and more refreshed. Essentially, I'm more refreshed than anything else.
And when I do carve out time to do that, like, I am more refreshed. Like, I totally feel that, too. You know, going to adoration, even if it's just for 15 minutes and sitting at the Lord's feet, literally. Like, in every sense of the word, sitting at the Lord's feet there. Yeah. That's, I mean, there's nothing better. I mean, really, like, the way you feel when you come out of...
Just, like, a new person.
You're just like, ah. Yeah. Like, it's just like a breath. Like, taking a deep breath and letting that breath out is, like, kind of what I would say it feels like when you come out of adoration.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And there's this famous story with, I don't know if you've heard it before, but Saint John Vianney, he's, like, this famous priest from France, super holy man. Like, I said that like I know him. He's a holy man. But he had this parishioner one time that would be in his chapel in the back, and he would just be there all the time. And he went up to him one day, and he was like, "What are you doing?" And this guy, he was like, "I look at him, and he looks at me." And it's just this simple relationship. Yep. And I heard a speaker one time say that, and they've said it's like an old married couple, that they don't say anything because everything's already been said. And I'm like, that should be our relationship with the Lord. Like, we should exhaust the things that we're saying to him and have such a good relationship with him.
And you don't always have to say anything.
Yeah, that we can just rest in his presence.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you're totally right. Like, I mean, prayer really should be that time that we recharge, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Jesus tells us all the time, like, just slow down. Yes. So, I'm going to give you my 21st century interpretation.
Of slowing down?
Of the Martha and Mary gospel. Like, when I hear it, here's the 21st century version that I hear in my head, right? So, I hear Martha complain about Mary, right? Like I said, like the little kid that goes to her dad and is like, "Dad, she's not helping me with this." So I hear her like kind of complain and whine to him about it. And then I hear Jesus be like, "Homegirl, I hear you. You know, like, thank you so much for getting everything ready, like, for me, because that was important. But, like, you really shouldn't get mad at Mary. Like, just come sit with me. Come slow down. Just listen to me. Everything is taken care of. I have a lot of things to tell you. Like, I have some big things that I want you to hear." Mm-hmm. You know, and no matter what you say to me, Jacinta, you cannot tell me that Jesus isn't telling, like, all of us that same thing. You know, in our own little way, Jesus all the time is saying, slow down. Open the scriptures. Rest in me. Mm-hmm. Right? And finding that balance is so hard, because if you're like me, you're sitting here going, "Valerie, yeah, I hear you, but, like, I have stuff to do. Like, I have things to get done. Yeah. So how can I just sit at the Lord's feet? I'm not a cloistered nun. I don't have time to just sit in my little... I don't have time to sit in my cell and read and study." And you're right, we don't. Like, different people are called to different vocations, and that's hard.
Sure.
And I don't know. I think it gets tricky. So the balance, but I'm going to throw in what my pastor said here real quick. Yeah. In the gospel this weekend. So he said, you can't just be a Mary on Sunday and be a Martha the rest of the week. And I was like, oh, so right. You can't just come to Mass on Sunday, pray, sit at the Lord's feet, and then be like, okay, all week I got to be Martha and get crap done. Right. Like you said earlier. Right.
I love that. That's funny.
We have so much to do. Yeah. You know, if you're a mom, you have a million things to do.
I don't even, yeah.
Like, we're not moms, so we're not there yet. But, like, I've seen moms, and I don't even have an ounce of an idea of how do you do it. Yeah. But even if you're a working single person and you're trying to network, or you're trying to apply for jobs, or you're in school, like, there's so many things at all phases of life that we're busy people.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't really know where I was going with this now.
Well, the question I have for you is, okay, you get caught up in that frustration, and I've been there before too, where you just like, you want to kind of, have you ever been to that point where you're trying to get stuff done and you feel like you're going to blow a gasket because you're so angry?
Oh, I don't even have to be busy to blow a gasket.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
You're just like, oh my God, like overwhelmed with the moment of what has to happen. Yes. But the question I have is, when have you not ever been able to get it done? Like, when have you failed? And
right, like, it's always somehow worked out.
It always works out. Yeah. Yeah. So when we know that it's always going to work out, we just need to rest and calm down and know that God's got it. But the problem that I run into with doing a daily holy hour is I can sit at the Lord's feet, and then the rest of the day I'm like, okay, I already saw Jesus, so now I'm just gonna do everything, and I just kind of forget to be intentional with Him in the moment.
Right?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's totally like that. Like my pastor said, you're like, I have my hour to be Mary, but the rest of the day I have to be Martha.
Right? Exactly.
When you can be Mary all day while you're getting
yeah.
stuff done, but it's like you said, it's everything flowing from your prayer, and it's being with Jesus all day long.
Right.
Even during your holy hour and outside of the chapel, like.
Yeah,
and that's
He's
hard.
present with you in the moment.
Absolutely,
and in your work that you're doing, especially. Yeah.
And I think we talked about it in prayer a little bit, but I'll go back to it again. If you're doing a load of laundry, offer that up for someone.
Yes.
If you're working, be like, who can I think of and pray for during this hour? And it doesn't have to be a consistent, like, prayer monologue. But you can literally just at the start of hour go, okay, I'm offering this work up for so-and-so. And when you get frustrated, remember, nope, this is because they need the prayers. And you're just really making your work a prayer. And that's hard. It's hard to get in the mindset to do.
It is hard.
But, I don't know, maybe set a reminder on your phone at every hour, top of the hour, to say prayer intention. And that reminds you to just every hour on the hour to go, okay, the unborn children. My neighbor who's sick. Like, you just, that way it gives you a little reminder.
Yeah.
At the top of the hour.
Yeah. One of my friends is really intentional about doing that, and she does that a lot. She'll be like, I'll offer up this time that I'm doing homework for this person. And, like, she has a whole list of people she prays for throughout the day.
That's so cool.
And I'm just like, that is really cool. And it gets the focus off of yourself.
Exactly.
Because we live in a very, like, me culture. And I know I fall into that a lot.
We all do. I totally do.
I do too. Yeah. And just, I think that's good. One, to, like, offer up your work, and two, to get the focus off yourself and realize there's other people who need prayers too. And even, like, the most mundane tasks
can be prayerful at that
can
point.
become fruitful too.
Yes.
And especially the most mundane, because it's like, I really don't want to do this. I could be doing something so much better right now, but I'm going to offer this up for whoever because they are going through a hard time.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
And that's a really great way, I think, to make your tasks that you need to be a Martha for, if you will, to become more like Mary, and to remember, why you're doing what you're doing. And I think it's also helpful, another way I think you can do that is, if you're doing really mundane tasks that you don't have to think about, say you have 1,000 envelopes you have to stamp or something.
Gosh,
you know what I mean? Like,
worst.
something crazy that you're just sitting there. Yeah. Turn on a podcast. Or, like,
turn on our podcast.
Sure, turn on prayers. Or turn on the rosary in the background. Or Divine Mercy Chaplet. Even if you're not totally focused on it, every so often you'll subconsciously come back to that and remember to be prayerful.
Definitely.
I think that's a good way to just remember to be Mary, to be in the moment, to remember that you're always resting at God's feet, even when you're running a million miles an hour.
I like that, yeah. And if you are running a million miles an hour, maybe that's a sign that you need to cut some things out.
That's another good point. I mean, that's a really good point. If you're so Martha that you're go, go, go all the time.
I feel guilty of that.
I mean, we all do. You need to go, okay, maybe I have too many responsibilities and I'm not giving God the time that He deserves,
Yeah.
And that's hard, because you might love everything you're doing.
Sure.
But you may need to take a step back and go,
how can I do a few things really well instead of doing 50 things, like, halfway?
Right. Even if they're all good things.
Yeah.
I volunteer for 6 organizations once a month.
It's like,
okay, maybe I need to just for 3 and I can do it, better.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and if you don't have time to pray, Mother Teresa, she said, she was talking to somebody and they didn't have any time to pray, and she looked at them and she was like, if you don't have time to pray, then you're too busy. And she was one of the most busy people, like, ever on the planet, and she found time to pray. Her life became a prayer. Absolutely. And so we can imitate some of those people. I mean, I can't be Mother Teresa, but we can strive.
Sure, absolutely.
Strive for the virtue, and trying to carve out that time for prayer is really essential. Even if it's just 2 times a week. If you're not doing it, if you can't go every day, then be like, okay, I'm going to meet this goal of, like, going to the chapel twice a week. And
maybe just once a week.
30 minutes.
Maybe start with
prayer.
once a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then work your way up.
Because you're literally sitting at the Lord's feet there, Or if you can go to daily mass once a day.
Yeah.
Or not once a day. Yeah, once a day. Don't need to go twice. Just go once. No, maybe you just have an extra day of the week. Maybe if you're a single person, you work during the week, maybe you just say, you know what? I could get up and go on Saturdays. Maybe not every Saturday, but even just every so often going to Mass when you wouldn't have to go.
Yes.
You know, when you're like Sunday, you tell yourself, well, I have to go. Okay. If you choose to go on a day you don't have to go.
Yeah.
That's another good way to like literally sit at the feet of Jesus.
Yeah, and if you're already doing all of those things too, try and make the time to quiet your mind more. To not like be so loud. Like, we live in a loud world, but try not to carry that loudness into the chapel, but just seriously make that time for quiet space with the Lord. Quiet time. Yeah.
So I would say prayer and quiet are two really big things.
Yeah.
And the scriptures. I would say the scriptures, obviously, because Mary was sitting at the feet of Jesus listening to him tell stories. Mm-hmm. Well, Jesus isn't, he is present with us, obviously, but he isn't here to like vocally tell us about his life. But he is in the scriptures. That's literally what they're there for. So
I love that.
You know, if we're not reading the scriptures, which I'm very guilty of, but
you're not alone.
It's hard. It's a hard thing for most people, but I think
it's hard to open this book.
It is. It really is. But I don't think you can be a good Mary without opening the scriptures, because she was listening to his words.
Amen.
And sitting at his feet.
Amen. I think that's a good place to end, because I think prayer, scripture, silence. Those are three ways big to become a Mary.
That's true. So maybe pick one this week.
Yes.
To work on.
All right, well, that's all the time that we have for you today. We hope that you enjoyed this episode of Catholics. We know we did. We enjoyed talking to you guys. And stay tuned. We're going to have some fun episodes come out, too.
Yes, and maybe some little in-between episodes where we don't even necessarily talk about faith, but maybe just fun random things, like maybe about a movie we've seen or something that we want to recommend. Who knows? So
who knows?
They'll be every so often, few and far between maybe. Who knows? But
yeah, so
we'll stick
excited.
with our Friday weekly schedule. So.
Yeah, we're just excited to be here and to be pumping this out, and we hope that you stay tuned. Follow us on the gram. We are at 99 followers right now, and the 100th follower we will do a shout out on the podcast for.
So yeah, hopefully we get our 100th follower before y'all hear this. But if not, if we're waiting for that 100th follower for a couple days this week, and you listen to this and you're not following us, please follow us. If nothing else, just for our own sake of being here.
All right.
But anyway, thank you to those of you who are already following, and all three of you who listen to this podcast. Thank you so much.
Awesome. You guys rock. We love you.
Peace out, guys.
Bye.